morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Can you hear me clear?
Yes.
All right. Do you receive me right now? Yeah? All right. Just give me a second. All right. So, hello, everybody. My name is Irish, and I'm a visual artist. I was born under the name Fana Richters, but for the last 5 years I've been producing visual arts. I've been active as a stylist, and I'm also a body painter. It's a lot, right? That's me, by the way. So, no. Let's take a step back. I'm sorry. I'm gonna talk about surreal, but first I would like to tell you a little bit about myself, and then we'll jump on that later. Let's talk a little bit about my work. My work reflects myself. Listen to me. My work reflects myself, my thoughts, my taste, my fantasies, my struggles, my dreams, my hopes. It reflects me. And all these elements play a very important role in my life. To me, I think it's something every artist does. Expressing their thoughts, feelings, critics, conflicts, hopes, and their dreams by using the imagination. Right? So, let's jump into the subject. Surreal, according to the dictionary. If you look up the term surreal, it would say this, or something similar. And what I get from this is that it's combining objects and realities that you normally wouldn't expect together. Something that's not real, a fantasy or a dream, or unrealistic reality. Interesting, right? So, before I get to put a focus on the word itself, as an art lover and especially as a visual artist, I would like to make a crossover to the artistic aspect of the word surreal or surrealism, an art movement. Some would say these people are too bored with reality. And that's why they create another space or another reality to keep them going. But in fact, these people believe that art could represent the state of the unconscious mind, which I agree with. They like to place objects together that have no relation or association with each other to trigger and to stimulate the unconscious mind. Well, within surrealistic art you have two different categories. The one that is inspired by dreams, which combine things and realities and dimensions that you wouldn't expect together. I just said that. And the other one is called automatism. That means that you suppress your conscious mind over the making process by allowing your unconscious mind to take over control. In my mind, that's a form of freestyling. You can imagine that is if somebody is practicing automatism, that he's like not thinking, well, you cannot say he's not thinking clear, but he's doing like a freestyle. He's letting his mind speak, all right? All right. So, not my first, but back in the days at school, I had a little lesson on Dali, and I didn't know that I was going to talk about him today. And this was like more than 12 years ago. But I just mentioned his name. One of the most remarkable surrealists was this famous Spanish painter, Salvador Dali. Anyone heard of his name? Yeah, you probably did. It's nothing new. He influenced the world around between the... Well, let's say he's still influencing the world, even when he's not around, okay? Let's say, put it like that. He was heavily inspired by the words of philosopher, I call him a philosopher, Sigmund Freud. I never know how to mention his name. Freud? Freud?
Freud.
I said fruit. Well, he was fruit for thought, so it's not fruit. I'm sorry. He's famous, yeah, so I will let you do it. And André Breton, I do know to have to mention his name. Another famous surrealist, writer, poet, aka the Pope of Surrealism. Well, after Dali met Breton, the leader of the surrealistic movement, during the 20s, he started to dive into the genre, into the movement, and visualize it in his art, reflecting on love, expression, and liberty. Just to give you an insight, so you might want to do some research, I'm just going to give you a name of some other great surrealists like Max Ernst, Giorgio de Chiro, just to name a few. And nowadays you can find surrealism influences everywhere. It's like we live in a surrealistic world. In arts, movies, design, and basically everything that can be broken from the standards of reality. Still following me? Mm-hmm. All right. This is, by the way, a slide of, you can say, well, that's not giving them that full credit. But to me, when I looked at this first, I thought this was from Dali, the painting down there. But this is from another surrealist artist called Rob Gonzalez. And I really like this work, especially the one on top. But maybe that's because I have a really related link to water. But yeah, I love it. Well, my first contact with the term. My first contact with the term happened when more and more people started to stare at my work like it was something strange going on. And they looked at my work like it had some hidden powers, and I was staring at them while they were staring at my work. And to them, they looked at it like it was the strangest thing ever. Might be possible. After their observation, they came to tell me, "Your work looks so surreal." I was like, I didn't know what that word meant. I thought, it sounds French, that's cute. But I'm the person that when I hear something, I like to study it. When I hear a new word and it catches my soul, I like to study it. So when I asked these people, and these people were black, white, pink and yellow. I actually wrote down pink and purple, but I asked them why they felt this way, and they told me that it looks unreal. I'm going to show you my work in a minute, but they told me that they are not used to see, well, they're not used to the way I portray black people in my work. To them, that was very surreal. So I felt that. I didn't know how yet, but I was like, so he really thinks this surreal? Because to me, it's very real, to be honest. In my reality, this is my world. Well, if you go back to the definition of the term, combining different objects and realities together that normally would never cross each other or be in the same share the same stage. So I figured in this studying process, so basically they are not used seeing a black person in the type of energy and environment that I create or present in my work. I believe that people are so used to seeing my kind of people in a form of stereotypes created by the Western world that they have become so used to and comfortable of seeing us in certain positions that they created and that they are comfortable with. For example, the old baby, black baby with a fly on the eye, stereotypes like over-sexualized black women in videos, the still ongoing talks that are still here when you wear a hippie, you know where I'm going with this. So I was like, so this is surreal to you because you're not used to it. Okay, so is it a perspective? Is it a point of view? That's what I ask myself. Like when you say something is surreal, it can be real to me, but it can be surreal to you. Understand where I'm going? And yeah, sorry, I want to, because I already said it and I was reading it. I wrote down, because a lot of people are not used to and dismiss the existence of black people in the way I portray them, and they are not used to it. And by that, they are, well, not maybe like doing it on purpose, but by that they are dismissing their existence. Then to them, it becomes surreal. Well, let's go to the next slide. Come on. Well, my view on surreal. One of my favorite musicians, Peter Tosh, once said this quote: "To every reality, there's always comes a fantasy, and the fantasy wants to come and to live the life of the reality." This quote heavily inspired me, and I use it all the time. I use it in my own words. I like to say, every known reality is surrounded by fantasy, and every fantasy is an illustration of the unknown reality. Yeah, you get that? That's how I like to say it. If I would show you my dreams, you would see things and realities together that might look out of context to you. But to me, it makes perfect sense. And that's maybe because I'm used to this imagery. But also, when I look at it, I know it's coming from different dimensions. So it might have a different meaning than you would normally see in the three-dimensional world. Maybe it's some four-dimensional shit, and you don't even know it. Okay? But I know. That's why I can see it, and that's why it's not surreal to me. Okay? So, when I looked at it, this word, and was looking at it from all angles, you know, to me, I'm an open-minded person. But the way I felt about the word is that it depends on the way you look at things and the meaning behind things. Your point of view is based on your beliefs and your fundamentals. Your reality might be totally different from my reality. So like I said, what's surreal to you doesn't have to be surreal to me. All right? I also believe that when something is surreal to someone, it's there to teach us something on a deeper level. And if you open yourself up to it, it can even change your perspective on something because you see it out of context. So your focus on it is different. Okay? Even, and like, I was gonna say fruit again, like Freud said, or this is one of Freud's saying, that it's to trigger the unconscious mind. So when you jump in some surreal situation or some surreal art, or you can go on, even when you're not fully aware of it, it triggers and expands our limits of thinking and manifesting. All right? Well, let's go to my work. I was waiting for this. I hope y'all can see it. I'm gonna stand right here. These are a couple of slides from what I do. These are the works that people be telling me that they look surreal. So I would like to show y'all. Like I said, I'm a photographer, I'm a stylist, and I'm a body painter. So, and by the way, I combine all these things. I actually started doing all these things by myself because I didn't have money to pay people. And well, it even started at a point that I didn't even know that you can hire people for this. I thought you have to do this all by yourself to create this form of imagery. And these are, by the way, a couple of characters that I created. This is styling. And yeah, so you remember what I said? What was the quote? Like, to every fantasy, there's a reality, eh? Well, I even created my own planet. And these are some characters for my planet. Oh, I hear a cell phone. Somebody calling me?
Reality, fantasy.
Yeah, what's going on? It's a surreal moment. All right. These are some characters of my fictive planet that I've created.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
The one before, is that a play, or is it, can you tell me more about this?
And that is
the one where they are standing on the stage. What is that? Yes.
Do you mind if I jump on it
Sure.
in a second?
Sure.
But if I don't, please ask me again. Okay? All right. So for now, I'm only gonna say these are characters from my planet that I created, and this is, by the way, I can jump into that. This is, by the way, this, by the way, was a show in Tropenmuseum, and this one was during Museumnacht, and I create these characters of my planet, and I have my own show, and it's not really a play, but I can also describe it as a play. It's like characters from a planet, and what you're seeing here is actually their landing. And I have it in different forms, but this show in particular was that they had to stand at the stage, and they had to be like living objects or sculptures. So most of the time they were standing like this, just on the picture. But I wanted them, when I want them to stand there, and you are a living sculpture, and you are this being that I created, I also give them, like, you know, the little shock effect, give them white lenses so they can scare people a little bit, or terms, or, you know, like, people get in shock when they look at them, and it might feel uncomfortable, but they still want to look at it, but they are scared, but they, you know, I like that kind of feeling, that shock effect. So yeah, that was this show. This was part of the same show, by the way. It's a closer look to the looks, and yeah, I created all of it. This is a little bit my taste. This is what these characters in my fantasy look like, and how I portray them into the physical world. These are some photos that I made. By the way, this is photography. These are not paintings, because I get it all the time. And then I've been asked to draw people, and I cannot do it. But yeah, that's some body paint that I did, all fun. These two. So yeah, I first wanted to show you this, guys, to show you my world and to show you what I'm about. But I'll tell you a little bit more about it. My camera, my digital magic, are my tools to visualize my stories into the physical world. As my work travels between the present, the past, and the future, with the fascination of different expressions of Africa, as you can see. They are all black, and they do carry some elements that is strengthen that blackness. So I'm really fascinated by Africa, the diaspora, the rich history, different countries, different cultures, the science, the spirituality, the myths and the science fiction stories. I love it, I'm here for it. I also have an obsession with colors, and I can confirm out of my own experience that colors have a healing effect on the human soul. There is no sacred recipe during the making process of my work. I just make what I love. It does mostly goes depending on how I feel, if I'm in the mood, what do I want to express at that moment, etc. And by thinking of this, how I feel, it goes all in the styling, in the photography, and in the edit. Like I said, I just create what I love and adore. And my focus is not on trends. I rather create something that, to me, is timeless. As you can see, and we spoke about it, my mainly focus is on black characters. It's really my passion because at the moment, they reflect a piece of me. I just create how I like to see people, black people, or how I would like to see them. The features of the black models that I use are most of the time ignored because they don't fit in the Western beauty standard. Their hair is too thick, their nose is too round, their lips are too thick. Like typical examples of features that are directly linked to black people, that shape a whole nation. And because of that, many black kids with these features, the round nose, feel less attractive and are being looked at as less attractive. And that keeps them insecure, it keeps their energy low, it keeps their being low. And sorry, me as this black sister of all of them, that's how I see it, my energy goes down too when I see that, you know, so I feel like I should do something about it. Well, I'm not gonna say that's why I started doing this, but I saw that, oh, this might help boost their energy. Because when they start feeling unattractive and low in energy, well, they start doing things and using things that go against their nature. And because of this, he or she don't get a chance to live his or her life to a full potential. People don't think about this. So, you know, I see it as my duty to remind my people of our own beauty standards through our own black lens by using our own elements. And when I use these elements in my work, I remind them about their own identity. And I really boost their confidence. It's so beautiful to me. So, it's actually not done yet. Is the time up?
No.
No? You want me to keep talking? So, if you don't mind, I would like to delve a little bit into, like, we went from surreal to surrealistic to surrealism. And I'm in this genre. Oh, sorry. I'm in this genre, and I would like to tell you a little bit about it, and then you might understand why. Well, let's put it like this. I have nothing against the word surreal. It's not that I'm angry about it because people put it in a way that is putting my work on a spotlight. You know, I don't have negative feelings towards it. I'm actually very inspired by surrealism, and I think I'm morely inspired by the philosopher. This guy came up with the term, Mark Derry. I wrote his name wrong, I'm sorry, it's with the R. He came up with the term, and these are the ones that came originally with the movement. And it's been around for 1,000 years. Like, it's crazy. Like when people think about Afrofuturism, they think of the 70s. But yo, it goes back in time, yo. And this movement expresses itself through spirituality, politics, lifestyle, science, technology, and as entertainment for the public eye through different art forms and, well, let's say through all different art forms. A couple of famous Afrofuturists that you might know are, these are, by the way, some works of, like, when I say go back to 1,000 years, this might be new, but that fellow over there being here around, you know, he's from way back in the time. Those two women down there too. It's like part of their culture, and it goes generations of generations. So, might have heard of Sun Ra? Anyone? Yeah, you probably did. Sun Ra was a musical genius in the 70s. George Clinton and the Parliament Funkadelic were some Afrofuturists who expressed themselves through the funk. Of Missy Elliott, one of my favorites. She's a certified Afrofuturist artist. And Erykah Badu, well, probably also know her, Janelle Monáe. And what these artists have similar, how do you say that? What they all think of as the same is that they focus on a black person in a futuristic space or environment to the black perspective. Afrofuturism gives us a vision of hope and trust in the future of the black identity. It gives us the future that we want, without oppression and hate. A future where we can be proud of the difference that we make. That's why it's more than just an artistic expression, just as surrealism. All right? It's actually a natural process, or a black woman or man who thinks about and starts shaping their future. Afrofuturism is here to connect us with the roots, to bring us back to the memory. It can also reflect our view on the world, just as the surrealism. Well, first I didn't know about Afrofuturism as well, just like I didn't know about the surrealist and surreal. But by delving in, I found out that all these movements and all these movements, you know, that, like, for me, it was like I can relate to it so much, because to me it's like they're trying to teach us something, you know, like something that is gonna help us up and not down. It's like, it's not that these movements have evil intention, you know. So when I first came on the Afrofuturist or like surrealist, or, you know, like, to me it was all inspiring, and I hope you can see that in my work and that it reflects it. Gonna wrap this up. What I wanted to say is that in, sorry that it takes so long, I'm skipping a couple of things right now. Well, I wanted to say that in Afrofuturism is a mindset. Every action that contributes and rebuilds to healing to heal, or action that stands for our right on being on this earth and doesn't go against our nature is a form of Afrofuturism. So Bob Marley, Dr. Sebi, Fela Kuti, they are Afrofuturists. The lady that opens her own barbershop as a platform to serve her community by taking care of black hair, where she shows black women and kids and men how to love and to take care of themselves in a healthy way and give them a boost. This lady is also Afrofuturist. And when I tell you this, you might look at me like, Fana, I ain't that deep. And that's why I started by saying, what's surreal to you don't have to be surreal to me. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, I think it's, thank you first of all for your presentation. It's really nice, very inspiring as well. Also because surrealism and fantasy and imagination in our daily life is not really part of it, of our daily life actually. I think it's, with a rat race we kind of lose that power. So an artist that introduces that to society is like a gateway.
It is.
And that also reminds me of tribes. So how is your art related to, in a way, tribal expression? You know, because I see a lot like, okay, we can call it future, but maybe it's also taking the past back to the now.
Exactly.
And giving it vivid colors to make us not seeing it as a sort of a history, but more part of our daily life and to relive it. Because when I see all those forms and shapes, and for me, African culture, if I see it in my brain, I see proud tribes. I'm happy to have that. You know, I'm happy to not look at television and all this shit, because that's actually giving us a wrong and false face of your culture. I wouldn't say you're people, because I don't know, people, we are all people. So how is your art, and how do you feel related to tribes? Are you part of a tribe?
I like to say that when I meet somebody that is like share the similar thoughts as me, I always say like tribe. Okay, so it starts there. But yeah, I'm heavily inspired by tribes. Let's say that first. And also let's add to that when I was around, let's say 12, I was brought up only by tribes and not raised by tribes like, hey, do this, but my mom always had like the documentaries and the latest tribe, let's put it like that, you know, like all of that. So it reflects me, it really reflects me, it inspires me, and it also expands my way of thinking and also my way of manifesting, like I said, but also it keeps me open-minded, because every tribe has their own doings and what they do. Well, tribe is basically a group of people, right, that decided, yo, we be about this, you know, this is what we doing, I don't know what y'all be doing, and we're gonna pass this on to our generations and generations. That's basically what they're doing. So most times you see that tribes, they, you know, like they practice like spirituality, and especially African tribes, and I can even admit that sometimes in my work you would see maybe even the tribe that I was inspired by. For example, you can see like, okay, this work, she was inspired by the Maasai, for example. You see the red that I use, he might be jumping or something like that, or a philosophy that they carried. So yeah, it inspires me. Another question? Really?
Yeah. Did you ever get taught about Afrofuturism, or is it something that's left out of the curriculum within Arts College?
Oh, I cannot hear what you're saying, I'm so sorry.
Did you ever get taught about Afrofuturism, or is it something that's left out of the curriculum in an educational setting?
If I get caught or taught? Taught. So I'm so sorry. Can somebody say it again, or maybe give it back? Because in the English.
Did you ever get taught about Afrofuturism. So,
Somebody has it.
Oh!
Is it something that's like included in the educational curriculum, or is it completely left out?
Well, it's completely left out. The first time I heard about this term, I was already 21, and I was already active as an artist, and a friend of mine, she's like from Morocco, and she was like, "Yo, this is Afrofuturism," and that was the first time I ever heard of the term. I was like, "Yo, this word sounds cool." It's like, what is it? And I started studying it in my own time. What I wanted to add to it is, oh yeah, I do have to say that the way I was brought up made me relate to Afrofuturism even more, because the way I was brought up with respect for roots and past, present, and future, and to respect yourself, where you're coming from, that didn't make it hard for me to relate to Afrofuturism. It's like, oh, I've been doing it for years now, might as well, you know, like if I can pin a name on it and it's easier for people to find me and to understand what I'm doing, why not, you know? So yeah, I studied it myself.
I hope this doesn't come across as an ignorant question, because I grew up in Kenya. But did you consider, or do you consider the art and representation in Black Panther to be an example of Afro?
Oh, oh, it's such a tricky question.
Because it is very commercialized, obviously, and then the storyline is very tied into lots of aspects of the Western narrative that. Then again, they took a lot of inspiration from, you know, tribalism and different things as well, and made an effort to cast, you know, African actors.
So you want my real perspective?
Absolutely, yeah.
To be honest, to practice Afrofuturism, you have to be Black, and I'm not saying that the people that worked on the film are not Black, but the vision has to come from somebody that's Black, because. It's like, it sounds strange, but he knows the gaps that he needs to fill in terms of, like, as a white, somebody that's studying, he can go everywhere, but sometimes you might not relate to some things that are saying because it goes back into cultures, or it's like based on something, the way our body works. So, I don't know, it can be all different things, and by that I believe that to practice the belief of Afrofuturism, you have to be Black, and everything has to come. So even if you incorporate like Western elements, if I'm doing it, it's fine. But if you're doing it, it becomes a problem, because that is your culture. So you are mixing things, like it's like when I'm doing it, I'm just showing the way I look at the Western elements. But when you're doing it, you're showing your culture within my beliefs, or my, you know, like within the Afrofuturism. So it's a little bit not fair. But I do have to say, of course, this film came out as Afrofuturism, and I'm not mad at it. I was also in my way inspired by it. I actually follow all the Black designers that worked on the movie, and yeah. So I hope you that was a little bit clear for you.
Yeah.
All right. Yes.
Sorry, I have to ask you this. It's maybe a little bit off the map, but if let's say, okay, tribes believe in spirituality, that has to do with, in a way, traveling with your soul. Telepathy.
Yes.
Can a white person have a Black soul?
Oh.
Yeah.
Putting me in problems. They're recording.
Okay, why I'm asking this? Because there's so many people that, let's say, a Dutch guy ends up in Colombia because in the roots of Colombia oh shit, this happened with a girl from the FARC. I'm not talking about her.
Okay.
Yeah, she went to Colombia and ended up in the FARC. But let's say, can a Dutch person go to the jungle of Colombia and unite himself with the tribe? I say Colombia just to give another example, but it can also be a Dutch guy going to Africa and feeling that his roots are there, and then he connects with the tribe, and the tribe recognizes that, yeah, you come from this place, but you're white. So how do you see that? Because then, for example, your color, in the end, the color will be, sorry?
Reincarnation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our color will be the limiting factor how we see the world. Which is actually what also happened with the African culture, being seen different because of your color. I don't know, you know.
Like she said, I believe in reincarnation.
Yeah.
But by that being said, I think with everybody it's different, because if I would tell you, my soul is white, would you believe me? I'm not saying that you would not, but it would take more for me to prove and to go to a certain, to really show you, like, yo, my past soul parents in my past life were, you know, like, so I really have to, like, create it into, like, logical, show it to you guys to prove it. So by only saying it doesn't mean that you are. No. It can also mean that you relate to them, or in a way that because you admire them or you are fascinated. Yeah. People also sometimes confuse the thing that if you are fascinated, you like something, that you have to be part of it. Right. It doesn't always have to. Yeah. Sometimes you can look at something, you are like, yo, whoa, you know, this is so great. So that doesn't mean that I have to be part of it to be as great. So I believe that when people say that, it's very personal, first of all, but also, yeah, it's different with every soul. Right. Yeah.
One final question.
Yeah. Do you think the subject should be taught in art schools, and can it be taught by just like a white teacher? And if not, would you like to make a course or do something in art schools to show your work and from your skills? Yeah.
I would love to.
I think that would be really good.
Yeah, I showed you Mark Derry, and like I said, he came up with the terms. Like, for most people, he was their teacher in terms of enlightening them about that subject or about their movement. So it doesn't matter who's telling it, as long as the person keeps it in respect from where it's coming from. I think that goes for all things. Then it doesn't matter. But I do believe that it is an interesting subject, that even though it's not an Afrofuturism class, that would be great. That would be great. But even though you wouldn't have that, it would be nice that to expand the limits to teach kids about it, because it's really interesting.
Because most of art history is very white focused.
Yeah.
So I think it would be so important to just.
Yeah, that's what I also said in my presentation. Everything is so viewed through the white lens that, like, if you have how do you call it, a loop?
Magnifier.
If you look through that, it's like you only look from it from a white perspective, you know. Even the close-up, and when we see things, they're still from that white perspective. We need to change the perspectives, man. There are so many different perspectives. So, you know, like, why only focus on one thing and force it all to this small, you know, that everybody has to go through that lens? No, there's so much more.
Okay, that's it. Thank you very much.